Hello and welcome to another Modswell video. I'm your host Maxwell. Today we're going to be taking a look at my top 5 mods of the week. This week has been extremely hard to choose as so many epic mods have been released. Clovis' Treble Clefus soundtrack series, which I can't include for DMCA reasons. Belgus the Saint's port of Maldoran's mod Middle-earth redone, which is so massive I haven't had the time to play enough of it yet, or Substill's New Haven Weapon and Armor Collection mod, which seeks to retexture nearly all of the weapons and armor in game. As for the 5 that have made it, these are simply my opinions. So if you think another mod should have found its way into the top 5, please leave it in the comments section below so I can check it out. With all that being said, let's just dive right in. First up is Shiny Material Cubemap. This mod does exactly what you'd expect and adds in a brand new sheen to all of your weapons, armors and jewelries. This is one of those small changes that makes a huge difference. Most retextures include things like this to add a level of realism, especially whilst in motion. For those looking to save some space though, a setup like this alongside believable weapons would really serve you well, and look as nice as some of those larger files whilst not breaking the bank. It's also a brilliant mod to pair alongside something like Nordwar UA's replacers, which don't touch upon all of the armor sets, meaning you'll get extra class to go alongside it. I can see this making its way into many orders in the future, purely based off of its simplicity coupled with its size of 1.3 megabytes. This is going to allow it to just sit there without taking up any real room and still offering you a brilliant, unobtrusive Vanilla Plus experience. I'm a fan of using different armor and weapon setups each time I play to make the game look and feel fresh, but usually I don't think about things like jewelry, which, let's be fair, you see a ton of whilst playing. Shiny Cubemaps alone is going to really help those objects look a damn sight better. Whilst viewing them in the menu, you get a really good sense, especially as you rotate the items. I'd say anyone building a Vanilla Plus order will benefit from this mod. Anyone looking to create a realistic Skyrim will benefit too. There's really no reason not to have this. That's pretty much all I have to say on the mod. Simple, but extremely effective, so let's move on. In at 4th we have Skyrims Dead. Those of you who have been around for a while will know how highly I regard the world edits that Nesbit makes, and this mod is no different. Skyrim is harsh, and so are the rules of those who inhabit it. In vanilla, there's very little evidence of this. The world is empty of consequences for most NPCs, or at least that's how it looks for the most part. But that doesn't make sense. I can, off the top of my head, think of 2 scenarios where you see the lore being played out. This mod shows this a whole lot more. As you roam around near settlements, you'll notice bodies hanging dead or stuck in cages dangling, awaiting their fate. But what's really cool is how this changes and evolves based off of the actions that you're taking. Let's use the war as an example. The further into the quest you get, the more of the enemy faction is seen strung up. Right up to the end of the war, where they're taken down to be replaced with the bodies of new criminals such as bandits, forsworn or thieves. Skyrim feels like quite a light fantasy game in image, but the themes in play have a far darker tone. I'm really happy to have something to match this, and of course it's going to look great in my order, but I'll be straight with you. Due to in-game physics, this can have some really funny bugs, like bodies ragdolling whilst hanging, but it's not a game breaker. So far, I've found this mod to be highly compatible as well. I've edited all of my towns and cities with new layouts and even still haven't seen any clipping whatsoever. In fact, my Whiterun has a lot going on, such as Fortified, Dark's Market, Riverside Expansion, and even with all of that, I've experienced 0 clipping or issues at all. Nesbit has done it again. This mod is going to set you back 5.8 megabytes, and it's definitely worth that. It creates and expands upon a growing and evolving world where you aren't the only thing driving stories forward. It makes it so that that is just happening around you all of the time, which is simply put extremely immersive. But before I move on, I'll leave you with one fun note. If you jump, you can actually loot a lot of these bodies. Moving on to 3rd, here we have New Haven robes and clothing overhaul. This was a really tough call. Substill has had a really busy week and thrown out some excellent mods. I chose the one I see being in the majority of my orders going forward. But it's definitely worth going and checking out his Bethnet page, so I'll leave a link to that in the description. New Haven is a full retexture of all the clothing in game. It's actually a compilation mod using one of my favourites in elaborate textiles alongside a fan favourite mod known as opulent outfits. Elaborate retextures pretty much every bit of clothing in the game alone, but it's always had one weakness. The mages' robes were extremely similar to one another. Even the rankings, there was no real way to discern what piece of gear you'd be getting from novice to master, destruction to restoration. Luckily, that's where opulent outfits kicks in and replaces those dependent on level and school. The robes come emblazoned with the relevant insignias to the discipline of the mage, which is an excellent touch, and as a side note, extremely handy when walking through the Mages College looking for a specific vendor. Both of these sets deal with intricate designs beautifully and play off one another perfectly, filling in spots where the other is weaker and making for arguably the nicest clothing overhaul available, but honestly, it keeps on getting better. This mod works alongside armour mashups such as Fashions of the 4th Era, which has been a staple of my orders for the longest time. The only exception is the Mage's robes, as these are full replaces more than retextures. But so far I'm really happy with what I'm seeing from my fashion sets, as well as the general look of all the NPCs in their new gear. If you plan on playing as a mage, a merchant, a noble or a bard, anything to that effect, I think you should be giving this mod a proper look. It is going to set you back 145 megabytes, but honestly, for this level of coverage and quality, I think that's not too big of a cost. This is going to suit anyone using armour replacers such as Old Kingdom or Nordwar UA, as these don't touch upon clothing. And as the textures are only in 1K, you won't feel any performance drops at all, which is really good as a bonus for this game. Let's move on. In second, I've chosen Whisper's Shout Alternative. This is a fantastically inventive mod that lets characters not planning on playing as the Dragonborn still have an answer to shouts. The author, ADG25, has described this as Dwemer tonal magic. Each of these 27 whispers contain one word of power that grants you access to abilities such as taking no full damage, summoning assistance, telekinesis, self-healing or steam breath, amongst a host of other useful effects. You can gain access to these new powers in two different ways. By either finishing the quest Way of the Voice, at which point a courier will deliver a note from Farengar which sets you on a new mission, or alternatively heading over to Shimmermist Cave where an Imperial Scholar is waiting with news of these new abilities. Once you have met either of these requirements, the hunt will begin. You will now be able to find a hand-placed lexicon in every single Dwemer ruin in Tamriel, but simply finding them isn't enough. You'll also need to have a Dwemer Centurion Dynamo Core as well as a charged Grand Soul Gem to unlock the ability. I found this to be a really good way to balance out the potential early power you could receive. However, as you won't often have these items handy on your first raid of a dungeon, it's probably worth having a mod like Recycler on so you'll have things to fight upon returning. I find myself really enjoying this mod for a few reasons. The treasure hunt aspect, the new powers, and how replayable it has made these dungeons, some of which I must have completed 100 times over. It's also been really fun finding, defeating and looting Centurions for a previously pointless item that I am now excited to find. But here's where things get really surprising. The mod is only going to set you back 253 kilobytes, which is just absurd for everything it does. How well put together and thought out it is, you'd be expecting a far higher cost. But the use of vanilla assets with a little bit of modder's ingenuity has helped keep this cost down. I highly advise this mod in any Dwemer style playthrough, for anyone who loves treasure hunting or people not after becoming the Dragonborn. To be honest, it will slot into most orders excellently and I don't think you'll regret giving it a try. Moving on to my favourite mod of the week. This one is really something special and is going to increase that role-playing potential tenfold. I am of course talking about Faction Warfare. This is a mod that seeks to really change up a lot, even when it comes to unplayable factions. Think of it like Reputation, but for all spawn and NPC types. It will literally allow you to become hated or friendly to factions you couldn't before. Say for example you're a good character and you're roaming Tamriel wiping out bandits or Forsworn. This is going to make the townsfolk love you. Inversely, it's going to make those factions hate you, and this means they're going to attack on sight. I guess they were going to do that already, but now they'll do even more. They will send hunting parties out to kill you. They'll search far and wide, and I've even been ambushed in a cave and suddenly my backup of mercenaries paid for by the townsfolk had arrived, which was absolutely crazy. But it gets crazier. What if you decide you want to be a bad guy? You kill, you steal, and you just don't care about being the hero. Well, the entire opposite of the previous example is true. Townsfolk will start to attack on sight and send out hunting parties, while bandits and Forsworns will allow you to freely roam amongst them. This isn't as complete as vanilla factions with full story questlines, but it is a really great way for anyone who wants to roleplay in a different manner. And when I say that, I pretty much mean it. There are 12 factions affected by this mod and they work in sets, meaning one set of actions will give positive affinity to one side and negative to the other. The factions in their sets are Townsfolk versus Bandits and Forsworn, Imperials versus Stormcloaks, Dawnguard versus Volkahir, Orcs versus Thalmor, Falmer versus Dwemer, and Warlocks. This already seems like a mod worthy of the top spot, right? And I'm not even done yet. This mod includes an entire economy system that affects each of the factions. Say for example you're out there helping the bandits spread a little chaos. You're earning money and strengthening their foothold in an area. They're earning money from this too, and more money means better items. I have wanted to join a nefarious faction for such a long time now. I've always been a huge fan of games that allow dark side playthroughs properly and more than just using your imagination, and this mod lets you do exactly that. There is even a point where you get invited to join the Forsworn after completing a few quests over in Markarth. I can see this being one of those mods going forward that will have a permanent spot in my order, and that is made extremely possible with its tiny cost of 6.9 megabytes. All that role-playing potential, all that evolution to the world and how you can approach scenarios. For everything this mod offers you, that is such a tiny cost. That has got to be one of the best returns on your investments available in modding. And on that bombshell, I am going to call it. If you'd like to carry on the conversation, you'll find a link to my Discord in the description below. We talk all manner of things such as mods, load order assistance and just general chat. If this has helped, I would really appreciate those likes, comments and of course subscriptions. They help push my content out further with YouTube's algorithm. It also lets me know that you want more content like this. But for now, thank you for watching and I hope to see you in the next one.